New season, new crochet and new hair. I've had it all cut. Right, let's run the theme tune and I'll see you on the other side of the 10-second preview. Look at that. Hello, welcome back. Good to see you all again. Stuart here from my shop, the Woolpatch, a yarn and fabric haberdashery shop in Long Melford, Suffolk, UK. And I'm coming to you with less hair. What I will do is I'll drop a before and after pic in. Thanks for all your comments on the first video of season 3. It was so lovely to read. Some comments about the lavender and blue section, and comments about the gallery and how much you all love the gallery. It's so lovely to read. It's great seeing how our community is growing there or here on YouTube. And also talking about community, this week at the shop I had our knit and natter classes back. So all the ladies and gents were back in the mornings and afternoons. I was making them tea, they were knitting, chatting. Oh, it was like the soul was back in the shop. I feel like it's been lost for the last 18 months. And to have them all back in, hearing laughter, hearing chatter, seeing knitting, sewing being done, looking at patterns, talking about styles and things, it was just heartwarming. And as I say, it just felt like the shop had got its soul back. It lost it over the last 18 months because of, well, you know what. So that was just lovely. So this week has been wonderful. And we can really feel the sense of autumn and winter coming. We've got into September, schools are going back. Nights are starting to pull in, but not hugely, but they are. And I think people are just now gearing up for their winter knit. So the shop's been busy too. And speaking about preparing for their autumn winter knits, autumn and winter 2021 is being released everywhere. So fabrics are coming in from fabric companies, new yarns and pattern books are coming in, and especially, yes, the crochet. Gordon, I talked to you, well, you mentioned on the last episode, no one ever mentions the word crochet. It does often get overlooked, but this episode, a double whammy with crochet, brand new pattern book for autumn and winter, and Mr. Hunk's back. Colin's been doing his work, stunning crochet to talk to you about there. Can't wait. So lots to come up, so let's go straight into it and talk about autumn 2021 here at the Woolpatch. So loads of lovely new stuff there, and yes, you might have spotted it, the Rowan Platinum Edition, 70th edition of, and not a lot of people actually realise this, but yes, the Knitting and Crochet Mag. And I look through there and I can see a couple of, oh, that's a lovely crochet one. Not many, but there are some in here. Now, speaking of crochet, let's go straight into it and talk to you about this brand new pattern book, high-end pattern book called Moorit. Moorit is an independent crochet magazine based in Scotland and run by Alison Chu. It was imagined as an antidote to the dearth of print publications made especially for crocheters. Focusing on wearable modern garments and accessories made in natural fibres, Moorit is a high-end craft magazine with true indie spirit. exciting. I saw this via Instagram as a Kickstarter project. And I just thought, yes, I want to be a part of that. So I paid, I think mine was £55 to help the Kickstarter. I think I'll get the magazine when it's published, and my name somewhere, and some gifty things as well. But that was besides the point. The most important point was donating and helping this Kickstarter project, because there isn't enough stuff for crochet, is there? I am a crocheter, not a huge crocheter, but I do crochet. But I think I would do more if there were more patterns. And I know, Gordon, you said it, we mentioned it before. Do I hear the word crochet? Didn't hear it once. No, and that is often the case here. I'll always talk about knitting or patchwork sewing, and I hold my hand up, do overlook it at times, even though I am a crocheter. And that's, as I say, partly because there's not enough patterns out there. Now, you can go direct and find good patterns through Instagram and go to the Designers Direct. I use Daisy Farm Crafts a lot for crochet blankets. Wonderful. But if you wanted to, as a passerby, come into the shop to access crochet patterns, you're going to find it really, really difficult. We have a few crochet patterns through the commercial companies like King Cole, and Sirdar and Stylecraft, but they do tend to be a bit hit and miss. The King Cole ones can often look quite dated. The photography of the single patterns can look quite dated, even though they're modern patterns being made now. And they can often look crochet-like. I know that sounds a bit daft, but sometimes with crochet it can look like, well, like a granny square. Now, there's nothing wrong with a granny square. I love doing granny squares. But sometimes you want to do a bit more, or you don't want it to look like trebles all the time, or really long trebles. So finding a pattern that's not a granny square, or a treble cardigan, or a cardigan that's made out of granny squares is really difficult through commercial patterns. As for books, you know, like Rowan, great, you might find a couple in here. So you're then kind of stuck to then finding something online. But I then saw this Moorit Kickstarter project. They are aiming for something in the similar kind of vein as this, but less commercial, more independent. A bit like Pom Pom magazine for the knitting world, or Lane magazine too. I had a quick look at some of the pictures of issue 1 because it's virtually ready. It is being sold now. Pre-orders are being taken, and we're stocking it here in the shop. I've got 1 and I've ordered 5. See how 5 go, and then I can order some more. Some of my favourites there are Sivu. Love the look at that. High wire. Loving those chevrons. Socks. Isn't that refreshing? So Gordon, I hope that's cheered you up. Literally, when I saw your comment, I thought, next episode you're going to love this with the talk of crochet, because that's all we're going to talk about. And I can't wait to see it. More crochet coming up in the show, but next I'm going to get changed. And while I do that, take a look at this little, just for fun, game. Guess the year of the pattern. Take a look at the picture and see if you can guess the year of the pattern. And you might be thinking about it for the rest of the show. And then I'll let you know the year at the end. So take a look at this whilst I get changed. Here it is, the finished shirt. It only took me about 30 odd hours, not the 4.5 hours that they have on Sewing Bee. It's called the Fairfield button-up shirt, and it's by a pattern company in Canada called Thread Theory. As you've come to expect of the Woolpatch show, let's go into a nice little edited sequence where you can take a closer look at this fabulous shirt. How good does that look? It sounds like I'm really blowing my trumpet, but well, I suppose I am. Really thrilled with it. Absolutely loving the cuts. Now, look, well, as you saw, look at my darts there. Really, really so pleased with the cut. Now, the only thing which I will tell you, because I want you to be able to have a good old laugh, it was intentionally done, but I just did the pattern as it was. I wasn't worried yet about fitting it to me. This will make you laugh. Right, so let's get ready to roll down. That is the pattern on me. Now, I don't think I'm tall, 6'5", 4 and a bit, but I don't think I've got overly long limbs as a result of that. But because it's done on waist size rather than obviously height, yes. But that's the beauty of making your own clothes. So on a medium, that's where it comes up to. But as I say, I'm used to shirts not fitting anyway, so I just roll them up. Because it is a casual shirt anyway, isn't it? So I can't wait to make this again and obviously make it so the arms do fit. So if I did want to have the sleeve rolled down, it will be down there. I mean, what are we talking about? Another 1, 2, 3, probably 4 inches. But for my first shirt, I would have the sleeves rolled up anyway, and I probably would even if the sleeves did fit, because it's a casual shirt. I just love it. The only thing that got me was the placket. So we've got our right arm here, beautiful placket, where the placket bigger piece faces inwards towards my body. This arm, no, the thin bit is in. Look, the fat bit there is facing towards the back. I think I have 4 attempts at making the placket so I think I had 4 sleeves, yes, because every time I sewed it on, it's the opposite sleeve I got wrong. And that's partly my only gripe about the pattern. So the pattern explains wonderfully detailed on how to do the placket. Brilliant. For one sleeve. It didn't say, and I know it's probably really simple, but mentally I just couldn't work out the opposite on because especially as it's a solid fabric too. I'm using that as my excuse. I just didn't know. Well, because there wasn't two plackets either. So there's my placket piece. There's the picture, and there's the placket. My brain couldn't compute how to do the other sleeve. Of moving the placket. The placket changes. Does the placket change? Well, I presume it does. Wow. My brain ached about 3 days on the trot trying to work that. And I wanted to try and do it. I didn't ask Carol. I wanted to try and do it. I thought I had it. And you might have seen from my Instagram pictures, I visited Carol at the weekend. Oh, it was wonderful. We had never met before. We had done all gathered up over Zoom for the whole series of Sewing Bee. And we chatted many times in pre-production for that programme. And then obviously during filming. But I'd never met her, so it was lovely to meet her. And I was showing off. I wanted some feedback, and I was getting really excited about how I thought after the 4th time of doing the placket I got it right. And she went, "Oh no, you've still got it the opposite way round." But from that, laughing our heads off at still getting it wrong, she said, actually this is something that comes up quite a lot with sewers and learning, is all about opposites. So we're going to be doing some videos on how to deal with opposites using solid fabric or even printed fabric and just replicating it to the opposite side, because patterns, and I can understand that this is all about space. There's a limited amount of space and a limited amount of what they can tell us. Now, this is brilliant because this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's 20 pages in here. Plus, you can also find a blog where they do photos, but they're only going to teach you how to do one side. They haven't got the space to do it all again, because I suppose logically it is just the opposite. But for some of us, more brain challenged, just couldn't do it. So she said she's going to do some videos on opposites, so that's going to be great, so I can make my next shirt and get my plackets in the right place. But I'm thrilled with it. My collar, my button band, my pocket with the posh. That was a tutorial that Carol's done. If you want to know how to sew pockets on properly with the direction of the sewing, check out Carol's videos on her YouTube channel. Tells you how to do the pocket. So pleased with it. And I've learned some tips along the way, especially when doing the collar stand, because these little points here are difficult, and this bit here, can you see that? That little bit of fluff there. I cut my seam allowance too fine because I was always grading them to get a nice turn, but actually with that one you actually need to keep a really long seam allowance so you can turn it properly, get a nice curved edge, because you've got loads of fabric. If you cut the fabric too short to have a thin seam allowance, you've got hardly anything there to turn, so then you get this stubby fluffy end. So learn so much, really so much. And next time I'll probably put proper buttons on, because I've just put some pink cheapy fisheye, but you're supposed to have with the 4 holes. But nevertheless, I thoroughly enjoyed doing it, learning all about the flat felled seam. God, there was a lot of pleasure there with the folding and folding again and ironing down and then top stitching. Oh, and can you remember from the Sewing Bee, watching Damien and everyone else, Adam and Raf and Fari, all of those having fun with the burrito method, yeah, of the rolling? Well, this is it. It's in there. The yoke, the burrito method. I think again, then my brain was absolute. I just felt for all those sewers on the Sewing Bee who on that episode, that is, oh. But I had YouTube to keep checking. Oh, I see. I get you. That's where I'm heading. Oh, I see why I'm doing that. Whereas those sewers didn't have that at all. They were just doing it from 3 or 4 lines, and that's. But anyway, so thrilled with this shirt. So if you want to make your first shirt, a men's shirt, I thoroughly recommend this. The pattern is really, really well laid out. They don't presume at all, only that little bit, but that's probably just me, it's probably obvious. And it's thoroughly detailed with a blog where you can follow tutorial online as well. It's just great, really, really good. And I'm thrilled. So you can make your own. So the Fairfield button up, and this is my Fairfield button up. And I'm really, really pleased with it. This is made out of Robert Kaufman Essex linen. I learned another thing from Carol. I probably interfaced it too mad. on the collar, I put interfacing on both sides, and she said, "Oh, you could have probably just done it with a one." So I can't wait to make my next one, and to obviously reinforce those techniques. So there we are, my finished make, the Fairfield button up from done it again, it's really hard, from Thread Theory. Right, talking about my finished makes, let's now have a look at your finished makes in the gallery. are posting a picture of your finished object on Instagram, if you could just add our hashtag, the Woolpatch, to your list of hashtags, just add us to the bottom, that would be great, and I can find it. If not, as I say, you can email me to the address below, or you can DM me on Instagram, and I can add it to the next gallery. It would be lovely to see. Yeah. I'm not going to be making that jacket though. I only just managed this shirt, let alone the jacket. Though I quite like his beanie. 70 something. Ooh. Yeah. I might go for 76. Tell you at the end of the program. Right, back to the crochet even more. So I went to visit Colin and have a good old evening round. Here's where we talk fashion, we talk crochet, we talk knitting, all sorts. Because as you know, he's a fabulous knitting designer and crochet designer. And well, yes, he's come up with something new, but let's talk about how we got there first. So what we often do when I go around is we watch the latest catwalks from all the fashion houses. So Dior, Dolce Gabbana, Armani, and when they do their spring, summer, or their autumn, winter catwalk runway, we like to look at them and to see what trends are coming forward. Now remember, they're often working 2 or 3 years in advance. So what we see in the catwalks now only filters through in 2 or 3 years' time. So I was round there a couple of weeks ago and we saw the new spring summer collection from Dolce Gabbana. And yes, I can hear you getting excited already, Gordon. I can hear you getting excited. We saw loads of crochet garments and they look fabulous. A white t-shirt with the black crochet over the top. Just wonderfully fitted garments. And I said to Colin, I want that black crochet one. And he went, oh, we can do that easily. And I was like, really? He said, oh yes, by the looks of it, it's only trebles. And there we are, blowing up the pictures to get a right old closer look at. Oh, is that trebles? And yes, it is trebles. And you know how clever Colin is, how unbelievably talented he is at drawing as well. Mr. Hunk came out in that garment. So this is Colin's mock-up of our take of it. We obviously don't want to rip it off completely, but it would be nice to try and create it, the elements of it. So we've got a couple of there. We've got the crochet, and then the fitted garment, and then this neck feel. And he's already knocked up some crochet there. We've gone for fine crochet, so I bought some 4-ply cotton, some beautiful cotton from Lang Yarns, and if that works, I'll then stock it too. And that is what we are going for. We're going to try and create. So got the yarn in already and Colin is crocheting it up, and so we'll hopefully have that for you in a couple of weeks. But yes, if you want to see what current trends are coming out, then go to these fashion houses and have a look. Dolce Gabbana is this one, Dior, Armani, and you will often see some knitwear. In fact, actually, I think it was last spring, summer, actually, Dolce Gabbana had a wonderful patchwork. It was all patchwork. It was beautiful. So we were just loving it when we saw on this for spring, summer 2022, which will hopefully feed down to main fashion in 2024. Well, we're going to do it now. Well, hey, be leading the way. So more crochet. So that to report back to you. I'm talking about new yarns from Lang. Look at this. Colori Mill Big. So this was a big 200-gram ball. And I got this from my rep to try because I've started stocking more yarn from Lang. Because this is a big German company, and it's the same supplier where I get my crazy Zauber balls from, Shawl, Germany again. So I get both from the same supplier, distributor. So they gave me this to try, and thought, right, I'd better do some crochet. As we're all doing crochet now, as Colin's doing that for me, I thought, right, let's do some crochet. I've got the crochet mojo. Crojo! But look at that. And this is a pattern I've had for some time in the shop. Sheepshes. Not fully sure how you say it. In my head, I just say sheepies, but I think you say it completely different. And I've got loads of these pattern books, and I thought, do you know what? I need to actually do this. When you have a sample crocheted up or knitted up, it does indeed sell the yarn twice, probably not 4 times as quick than just having the yarn. And I was excited about this new Lang because of the colour. It's 50-50 merino and acrylic, but the colour is just stunning. I thought, right, let's do it. Let's help sell these pattern books and the yarn, and let's crochet up. And I am loving it. Really, really pretty. If I show the yarn, it is what we call a roving. So it's if you unply it, if I move my head, if I unply it, it is just one lot of fleece spun, loosely spun. Can you see? There's no ply there. It's not made up of 3 plies that have been twisted and then is it Z twisted together, or S, where the 3 plies are then twisted together to make the yarn. Roving is literally the fleece dyed and then lightly spun. Some people like it, some people like using it, some people don't. Crochet, it's sometimes, due to the nature of it, catches, and then because it's such a loose fibre, it kind of bites. You know, when you felt yarn, it with your pin, you're locking the fibres in, so it can easily almost get knotted. But once you get in the hang of it, it does just glide through, and the merino feels beautiful, and the colour is exactly what you see there. Beautiful ochres, purples, sea greens. So I'm looking forward to that, and showing you that hopefully as another finished object. Right, let's go to the guess the year and let's put you out of your misery. So the year of this pattern is 1972. Well done if you got it right. If not, next time. I'll have one every vlog. Ooh, all that crochet. It's like buses, isn't it? You're waiting for one and then suddenly 3 come by. You've been waiting for ages. Well, it's like today. You've been waiting for crochet and then suddenly I have a pattern. I have a special Mr. Hunk. And then that wonderful new pattern book, Moorit. Can't wait. Well, there we are. half hour, oh sorry, it just shook the whole table. Half hour, been and gone. It's lovely to get back to you and vlogging to you you know, frequently showing you what's in at this shop, where we're going, because the autumn and winter season moves very quickly and companies release yarns quite a lot. Rowan have got two stages of releasing yarns, and one which, should I show you? That'd be really naughty. No, I'll get told off. Is a phenomenal yarn where, I'll give you a clue. Felted tweed is in this yarn. I'm not going to say any more, so I'll get slapped wrists. But actually, speaking of new yarn, have you seen the felted tweed colour? It's like variegated. It goes through an ombre. But no, there is a new yarn coming out when they release their second, which I think is in October, the second stage. Mustn't say any more. I will get told off. My lips sealed. But if you're a fan of Rowan yarn, and if you're a fan of felted tweed, then this will be for you, I'm sure. So lots more to come. So there we are. Right. I shall see you on the next vlog. So in the meantime, happy knitting, happy sewing, happy crocheting, happy crafting, as always. See you. Bye.